so we're going to go through simplifying exponents. So these are technically exponents, but the idea is we want to simplify this. And we can't evaluate because they haven't given us any values for C or D, right? So all I can really do is make a simplified one expression, okay? So this fraction really means division. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on the top of this to start, okay, to make it a little easier for ourselves. I'm just going to look at this, okay? So when I look at that, and this multiplication can be confusing. It really means, that means times. It's not a variable. It's tough when they write an xing because it sometimes looks like it's an x. Is it a variable? So I'm going to rewrite just the top part on the side here in brackets. So it says 5c cubed d times 4c squared d squared. Okay, so there's a couple things we got to talk about first. Because this is multiplication, the first thing I want to do is the coefficients. I want to actually multiply them. So what would our 5 times our 4 be equal to?
20.
Yeah. So the very first term, I guess I'll do it in blue. Okay, 2 times those 2 is 20. Okay, because those are like terms. Now my c's are my next like terms. Because they're technically multiplied, again, everything's multiplied here, what do I do with the exponents of these two?
Add them.
Yeah. So what is 3 plus 2?
5.
5. So this becomes c to the power of 5. Okay. And then finally, our last one, a different color, d. Now this one's a little tricky. What exponent is d technically to?
1.
1. There's technically a 1 there. And again, because it's multiplication, we write the same base, d, and we do what with the two exponents? Add them. So what did that become?
3.
3. So I've just simplified the top part of this. I can replace this entire top part with just these. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in our next step. So this becomes equal to, and I'm going to write it in black again. So it's 20 c to the power of 5 d cubed. That first part makes sense? The simplifying that? Yeah. And then I'll write down what's on the bottom. Now the bottom here, this is a very interesting question. I can think of this two ways. And you know what I'll do? I'll do that on the side too. I'm going to simplify that. I'll do this the idea of blue over here. Okay, let's simplify the bottom over here. So I can read this two different ways. Because it's squared, I can read that as, I'm trying to put a line so we can see a difference. 2c squared d squared. So a power of a power, and I can bring the 2 into everything, or I can read it as, let's say, or 2c squared d times 2c squared d. Because remember, an exponent just means the base times itself a certain number of times. Okay, so I can rewrite this two different ways. And I suggest you do whatever you think is easiest, okay? I'm going to do, since we've already done the multiplication version, that's this one down here, I'm going to do a power of a power just so you can see two different examples. In a power of a power, we bring this exponent and multiply it by all the exponents inside the bracket. In order to do that, I have to know what the exponents are. So what is this 2 to the power of technically? We don't write it. Yeah, there's a 1 there. And same with that, d is to the power of
1.
Yes. So when we go to rewrite that, I'm going to erase the bottom part here, okay? When I go to rewrite this, this will say 2. And then what's 2 times 1?
2.
Yeah, so 2 to the power of 2. What's 2 times 2?
I messed it up. 4.
There you go. And then what's 2 times 1 again?
2.
2. So I've now brought this 2, I've distributed it into every one of the exponents. Okay? If that's confusing, just rewrite it twice and do it the way we did the red one on top. Okay? Technically, I can simplify a little bit farther. What is this 2 to the power of 2 technically equal to? Do we know 2 to the power of 2? That means 2 times 2 technically.
4.
Yeah, that's right. So it's 4c4d squared. Okay? And again, we've just simplified the bottom part of this. Okay? So now I'm going to write this on the bottom. 4c4d2. But we did a lot of work. Okay? This is a difficult question. We did a lot of work. We already did the top part, and we simplified the bottom part to get just to here. I've technically done like almost 4 steps just to get here. Okay? And then there's one last step in this. This means division, right? So division means we at least with our variables, we subtract all of our exponents. With our coefficients, I actually have to divide those numbers. Do we know what 20 divided by 4 is?
5.
Yeah, that's right. So our answer, 20 divided by 4 is technically 5. This is c to the power of 5 divided by c to the power of 4. So what do we do here?
Subtract.
Yeah, we're going to subtract exponents. The base stays the same. And what's our 5 subtract 4 going to be?
1.
And then same idea, this is our base stays the same. What's our 3 subtract 2 going to be?
1.
And you don't technically have to write the 1s in. You can just write like 5cd, or you can write 5c to the power of 1. And I can technically put a power of the 1 here. None of those powers are really important in this case. Okay, so that is this one simplified. Looks like a few steps, but we did a ton of work on the side to simplify.